legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. It's very cold today. It's about 3C right now. It's not going to even hit 5C. That's the temperature range, and it's cloudy. So I've got 3 layers on. I've got a regular short sleeve base layer from Rafa. Then I've got this long sleeve base layer, which can also go up like this, which I think I will need early on to cover my face. It's that cold. And then I've got this thermal jersey over it. I'm on the fence as to whether I will need another layer on top, because my torso warms up fairly well. And since it's pretty sealed, I think I will be okay. I don't want to put on a gilet because then I can't access my food. I'm taking my banana bread, put that in. I'm taking, we're gonna ride long, so I'm taking 2 of these and this. So there's 3 granola bars. I put them on the back in my pocket because I only use these when we stop or when the pace is sedate. We're going to hook up with the WCC Woodland Cycling Club today. We'll ride with them for a little while, get some clips for you guys, and then we'll do our own thing if they're not going as far as we are. It's Saturday, we gotta get some K's in. I've had a pretty busy week, so I couldn't get. So what I'm trying to do here is line up these gels to where they stand straight up in my pocket. That's what you see me messing with. So I'm pushing them down. Now this tab is up because I will be wearing these thick gloves and it'll be hard to access otherwise. Now I'm putting the next one standing right next to it. All of these little details are important. So it's snagging on the plastic of the banana bread that I put in there. That's why it's hard to get in. So now 2 of them are standing up. Then I'm gonna put this one close to my body so that it will stand up as well. I don't want them to move. I don't want them to lie down, because when they're standing with the gloves, what I do is I squeeze the side of the pocket and I push them up. And then I just grab them when they come up above the lip, because with these gloves you can't feel the lip of the pocket. So that's my food. And while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to, because it's cold, I'm not drinking Gatorade this morning. I didn't eat anything because I don't have the appetite, it's so early. So I'm going to take a gel right now to get my system to wake up by putting a log on the fire. I love the SIS, it's like juice. It's not thick. That's how quickly you finish one, even on the pipe. So now I got something in my system to kind of wake up my internals, and I'm ready to go. I'm wearing these reflective overshoes because it's overcast, and they keep my feet warm as well. And I'm gonna put 2 layers of gloves on. I'm putting on the base liner and these guys, and I'm ready to go. So make sure you get some K's in. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We rode up Flint Ridge into the woodlands. We went to Ashland YMCA, picked up WCC. It was a small turnout. It was very cold. We rolled out on Honia, Egypt towards Keenan. We took 2854 into Montgomery. The WCC guys turned around there. I'm not sure why it shows Paul running ahead. We had all kinds of glitches with the equipment, all the technology. The gimbals freaking out. My heart rate belt was not working. It was just too cold for those gadgets. You see us there in the forest heading towards Dacus. We took the gorilla route to Dacus on 1486. Then we went on Mount Moriah Road into Dobbins, cut through the Tri-Lakes area. We got clips in Tri-Lakes, and we got clips after we got to Gary there on the Keenan cutoff. And then we took Grand Lake Estates back to Honia, Egypt, into the woodlands. It was a big excursion, and it just stayed cold the entire day. So those who were not dressed properly, of course, had to turn back early because the stuff they were wearing was not very warm, quite a bit. But some of the guys, like Mo, he was doing a race, so that's why he was resting. I hope you got a chance to get out there.
YMCA to pick up the Woodland Cycling Club. I don't see them. I'm gonna pick up Mo's group here. Hopefully they're here. We're on time, 7:28. Team II wasn't serious. They didn't know what they were doing, so we want to go with people that are serious. But I don't see them here. Okay, so they're here. They're here.
Yeah, Paul spots them in the distance. I see Dave, and I spot Christian's vehicle. Christian.
That's Dave over there. And Christian.
And guys, this is the first time in 2 years
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
that I've seen Christian wearing leg warmers ever.
Yeah, I'm filming actually. Yeah, I didn't show.
You see, Christian never wears leg warmers, so it's cold. It's right at freezing.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
And we start to chat about the weather and other things.
It's cold. Yeah, it's 32, 33, 33.6. But you know, it's a warm 33.6. I was just telling Paul.
Dave laughs
yeah,
at me.
I had to push my hat up. I had my ears covered. I started getting hot on the way here. Yeah.
I had to push up my hat because I got
normally,
hot.
even in the 40s, sometimes I keep this thing down. But riding up here, I pushed it up. It's like I heated up. So, no, but really though, it's
Yeah,
not
Paul
that
sneaks
cold.
out for a nature break.
I expected it to be, yeah. Because it's not going to warm up much.
It was an odd 33. It felt warmer, but now to see that it's actually 0.1.
But it's supposed to get warmer tomorrow, they said. So we'll see. But yeah,
On Sunday,
so we're
it was in
riding
the
up here. I started
70s,
moving
20
my
C.
earpiece
Go
up,
figure.
and Paul's like, "Oh, I said, yeah, it feels warm." I got hot. Turn this
I got hot on the way there.
The gimbal? Yeah, I have a channel that I use this on.
Hey, Dave and I are talking about the gimbal. Mo's here. That's Mo right there in the pink arm. He's wearing a long sleeve jersey with a gilet.
Let's go. Someday you're gonna have. I'm gonna want
I want you guys to see how tight the gilet fits Mo's body right there. No flapping. And you would see, I think Dave must have left his neck a little open on his jacket. Dave is in front of Mo in a white, I think that's an Assos jacket. That's Will on the left in the Rafa pink gilet. I didn't get the name of this guy. I think he's the one that's visiting from, he's visiting from Seattle. His brother lives here. He used to ride with these guys, but he lives in Seattle now. It's on the right. I think his name is Dan or something. I think Mo will tell us what his name is. I'm behind Mo. The gimbal starts to freak out immediately. I mean, look at it. It's basically going vertical on Paul. So he spins it around. We had all kinds of challenges with all the electronic stuff. It's right a little above freezing. That's Christian. First time I've seen Christian wearing leg warmers in the 2 years I've known him. Will's wearing, the guy on the left next to me is Will. He's wearing the Rafa Classic tights. They don't have pads on them. You slip them over your shorts. But you see one side is white and one side looks gray. That gray is reflected, just like the gray on my shoes. It's really cool. I don't know if they carry them anymore. I've been keeping my eye out to try to grab a copy. But they're really warm. They have fleece in them or whatever. And Will was just running cold. So I think he was coming down with something, because when he got there, he told Mo, he said he wasn't feeling like himself. He said, I don't know about today. They didn't go far. They ended up doing just maybe an hour 45 or something like that. Because Mo is racing Sunday. Mo ended up there's a race in Crockett, Texas, outside of Huntsville. Mo won it last year, so he said it was going to be marked. He told us about it earlier. Right here, this guy that's visiting has a malfunction.
All your stuff is cold today. This time it's all two sizes bigger.
His leg warmers fell, so he's fixing it, and so we're waiting. He looked cold today, and even when we stopped, he was like holding himself. You would see me go over to him in a few kilometers, maybe about 5 kilometers, and tell him. Now that guy that stopped is using his brother's second bike because he's visiting. And so you know how it is with second bikes, you don't use a lot, it has all kinds of issues. So he ends up dropping a chain in about probably 5 kilometers. So we'll wait for him. This is Christian right here. First time I've seen him wear leg warmers ever. There, you see how Dave's jacket got air in it. And if you look at Mo's stuff is tight. If you look at Christian, so Dave must have left his the neck open a little bit because in a while you will see it fits him better on the ride. I guess he zipped it up. So when you're riding, you need to make sure that, especially when it's cold, you get everything zipped up. You don't want air in there because it will cool you off. Mo speaking Italian with Christian. Both Mo and Christian are Italians. I'm behind Will. I'm on Will's wheel. We went with WCC guys this week because Team RR basically did not even schedule a ride, and everybody said they were out. And we tried to post on their board, letting them know we'll be coming out, but there were no takers. So we decided to just hook up with these guys for a little bit. Because since Mo is racing, he's not going to do much. Those are the two brothers back there that one's visiting. So I give Paul credit today because you will see the challenges we had with this gimbal. I was a bit concerned about how the clips would come out. It was a challenge. It took a lot of creative editing to get this together for you guys and girls. But I showed the challenges we have at speed. And right here, Paul compliments Will.
Yeah, you look good, dude.
Yeah, too. Where you get that feel?
So Will thought that Paul was talking about the
back.
Why they did that? He was talking about the back. He said, let me get the back.
I want to get the back. Oh, right.
See, Paul has a French accent because Paul speaks several languages. Paul, knows French as well. So Paul films him. So you have to listen closely. Paul is fluent in several languages. I know about French. I'm sure there are other languages and stuff. In Africa and in Europe, we learn multiple languages.
Film me for like 4 hours.
So Paul was filming well.
Take a look at it when we're done.
And Will's asking where am I going to see it, and Paul tells him it's on the channel.
You get to see this every time.
Yeah, so he needs to just go to Veloharmony. Will is the one that's feeling cold today. You can see that he has his face covered, and it's really not that cold to me anyway. Everybody's different. But Will's just running cold. Oh yeah, that's why Dave has his jacket open. Okay, that makes sense now. So maybe he's hot. That's why it was ballooning. Okay. But later on, he must have zipped it up because it gets nice and tight. So Mo is talking to Christian. I'm pulling right now. And I'm just holding the same pace Will was holding because Will was at the front and I was behind him. And after a few kilometers, Mo rides up to me and then we start to talk. I mean, Mo will be talking to you at speed like it's nothing. And I'm concentrating, trying to hold the pace, and he's chatting and you're laughing. And it's a challenge. But he is such a breath of fresh air. Every time I see him, my spirit just lights up. I'm sure you guys know people like that. It just brings a smile to my face every time I see him. I saw him on Wednesday this week, this riding week, or the week is Monday to Sunday, a riding week. He's up, he's talking to me now. He's ridden up to me. And when he comes up, he asks, the first thing he asks me is, which day did I see you out here? Because we ride the same course. And I left at lunch and he leaves at lunch. And I told him Wednesday. And he said, I get all the days together. He couldn't remember which day it was. But during the week, that's what we do. We try to just sneak away for an hour or so around lunch, get some kilometers in, and then go back and do what you got to do. So you know that's the way it works. You don't need mega miles during the week if you don't have the time. If you have the time, yeah, you can ride more, but don't feel obligated. I'm gonna make a video about what I believe the minimum amount of time is to get endurance in the way you'll be okay. Even Greg LeMond specified that in his book, and I will quote his book during the video so it has reference, you know. But that's what we're chatting about. Paul is trying to get this camera to behave. The camera was literally going, not the camera, the gimbal was making the camera go vertical because it was basically failing because it was just so cold. You can see it says 0 Celsius. We were right at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So the temperature they listed was higher than what we experienced on the road because this is the actual temperature of the head unit on my bicycle. Yeah, Christian's stretching his arm. That's why he has his arm on his back there. Right there. He's stretching his arm. Trying to loosen up. Christian. So it was funny to see him in leg warmers because he always tells us, oh, you guys are overdressed. You dress too warm. Because he grew up near the Dolomites in Italy, so he said they're used to. He and his wife said they're used to cold weather. So right here, this car is in a hurry, and we're trying to get over in that middle lane, which goes straight, passes us, but then it sit there. So I just stay on the left of the car. Because he passed us kind of late. So somebody said, oh, hurry up and wait. You know, that's the usual thing around here. That's the joke. Once you're stopping, you want to downshift into an easier gear so you can take off. You don't want to drag and crawl and claw through an intersection. You want to be able to get going. And once you get going, you can shift back up to where you were. A lot of cyclists forget to do that. So I'm sitting on Mo's wheel here, we're done chatting, and I thankfully take the draft. I wasn't sure how the clips would come out because right there I move more to blow my nose so I don't get it on anybody. I wasn't sure how the clips would come out because when I got the camera from Paul, you will see he gives it to me later in the ride. It was literally almost the gimbal has flipped the camera from horizontal to vertical. Paul's trying to get it to stabilize, is what he's doing here. The body of the gimbal was cold, and so the motor does not work in cold temperatures very well. Of course, they don't post that when they're selling these products. You know, above 10C is flawless. So, you know, it's a great product. It's just the wind chill on the bike affects it. When you're standing, it's fine. So I told Paul what we'll do is the next time we're riding very cold weather, we'll find a standard attachment that we can still hold it in our hands, but that's not the gimbal, so it won't have the dampening properties per se, but it'll still be okay. So we have different things to try when we're riding very cold weather. So we realized the light was gonna change, so I didn't even unclip. And because I'm in a good gear, you can see how quickly we get through the intersection. You have to downshift as you're slowing down. That's the way you do it. I edited through the turn there because the gimbal again freaked out. Every time Paul would turn, that gimbal didn't like it. I didn't know he was having those challenges until I saw this part of the clip. But during the ride, you will see him come to me at speed in the Paceline, and we're chatting about this gimbal at speed without disturbing the rest of the riders. This is why I say we train and we don't ride, because that takes a lot of fitness to do that, what we're doing. We're slowing down. This is where the guy dropped his chain. The guy that's visiting from Seattle is using his brother's bike. So Mo tells us, Dave rode up to tell us. That's what's happening back there. You know, it's got to be tough for him. You know, he's trying to just get a little work. He's visiting his brother for this weekend. He lives in Seattle. He used to live here. So he didn't want to travel with a bike because the airlines really get you. I don't like to travel with my bike. A lot of riders will travel with their secondary bike, if you know what I mean. They don't travel with their best bike just in case those guys lose it or whatever. They charge too much for carrying bicycles on the airlines. In the US anyway. So we're just kind of soft pedal. So more updates on here.
Okay. Seattle.
There's a guy named Brandon from Seattle.
And he was in member of the race team.
Okay.
So he was a member of the race team.
He recently moved back?
He just came to visit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This week and this week. That's why he's got, I think, he's brought his bike, a second bike, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is trying to...
Oh, that's why you
Temporary.
asked. That's why you asked about the leggings.
Yeah.
Here's some. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Got everything's temporary. You know when you go and visit for a week.
I don't know if you guys can talk by the way I'm sounding.
Yeah, he dropped.
It's so cold, my face feels like I went to the dentist. Because when I talk, my mouth felt like it was numb. So he told us to go ahead, and we're waiting for the guy. We dropped the speed. That guy tapped his horn as he went by his way. But so Brandon is visiting his brother here. He used to live here. He used to race with Mo and them. He was on the same team. So we're just checking and keeping our eye out. In a little while, Dave would stop. Dave up the road there will stop. He'll pull into a driveway there so we can just wait. So he's visiting, using his brother's second bike, and you know, dropped the chain around that corner after we went through the light.
They're going to stop here.
So Mo had asked whether the leg warmers was for his brother, because his brother is bigger than Brandon. And so Mo thought he had borrowed his brother's leggings. That's what I was mentioning when we stopped earlier.
That guy, Mo said the guy's visiting from Seattle. His brother lives here. He used to ride with these guys. And he moved to Seattle. He's here for the weekend. Just riding today. So he's riding his brother's second bike. But you know how that is.
Yeah, you don't keep up with the bike. You don't ride that often. You see
That's
Will
why
holding himself up
The
there.
leggings were
Will
his.
was just
He thought he
feeling
had borrowed
cold
his
this
brother's
morning.
leggings, and maybe it was too big. That's why it fell.
And when,
his legging fell like that at the stop.
so I noticed that Will had mentioned when he came that he wasn't feeling great. So I walk over,
We're good.
just telling him, you know. Yeah, I just told him, I said, you might want to take it easy today, something like that.
And you dress
Because
right.
he's when he got to the parking lot, he told Mo, he said, I don't know about today, you know. He's just feeling kind of under the weather. Will's one of the guys who's always driving the pace with this group. So, you know, he came in cold and just not feeling 100% from what he mentioned when he pulled into the YMCA. So I just walked up, I noticed he was holding himself, it's kind of cold. It was a cold morning. I was dressed right. I mean, those layers, I give Rafa credit because, man, I wish we had these things when I used to race because we just didn't have the technology. It used to be sweaty under there. You know, it was just, you made do. But nowadays, yeah, this stuff has come a long way. Just the technical garments that are out there, there's no reason for you to be cold and wet anymore. So even though my face felt weird, I mean, I covered my chin from parts of the ride, especially after we left this group. But I was comfortable. The shoe covers worked, everything worked. My glove combination, that insert from Defeat with those Rafa Deep Winter gloves, they worked flawlessly. It was right at freezing and my hands were fine. I don't like to ride much below freezing. I didn't realize it was feeling like 0 on the road because the temperature said 32. And the overall temperature for the whole ride was 1C. The Strava averages it, and it was 1C. That's like 31 Celsius. I mean Fahrenheit. So 1 Celsius is like 31 Fahrenheit. It was cold. So these guys rode about maybe 45 minutes out and 45 minutes back, an hour and a half. Because Mo is racing on Sunday, so he wasn't going far. And the guys didn't want to deal with his weather. Will wasn't feeling great. So they thought we were crazy for what we were doing. But when we told them what we were doing, they're like, Will, like, good luck with that. So in a little bit, you see I put an arrow on Will's leg. That gray stripe, you see that? That's reflective, just like my shoes. These are the Rafa Classic Tights from a few seasons ago. I haven't seen them offered in a while. I've been kind of keeping my eye out for them. They have no
Yeah, he didn't know he wanted to get up or not. Yeah.
We were laughing about it that Kristen said he didn't know if he wanted to get up.
That was last week for Paul. Yes and no, it was last week for him. He said he left his head on the pillow and put it on the pillow. Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah.
Drafting. They are, they're drafting.
The birds, we're talking about the birds. We didn't film them.
They know something.
Double V. So Dave looking up.
Yeah, they know something.
After they know something, so
I'm gonna
Dave's
follow
looking up. The birds are flying in 2 V's like
Northwest.
a peloton. Like you got 2 noses on the peloton. The birds are going
Man, yeah, that's
northwest.
last week Paul was like,
They're
get up
drafting
a
each
little
other.
like that, get up a little.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
dance like that.
No, I wanted to ride today. This week was just too many interruptions. The weather. So I said I gotta ride today.
There weren't a whole lot of riders out. And whether you do indoor trainer, whether you do Zwift, doesn't matter. Whatever it is you're gonna do, you need to be consistent. Okay? I've got a guy that I coach. His name is Issam. Unfortunately, he got hit by a car, and he has a broken clavicle. But he didn't miss a beat. He immediately, I didn't know he didn't have a trainer. In the same email where he's telling me about his injury, the first thought that enters his mind is, what indoor trainer do you recommend? That's a serious person. You know, so kudos to him, you know. So now, then he sends me his training for the week. He said that when he rides the trainer right now, everything hurts. And so I told him, don't worry about the intensity, just spin. And for however long you can tolerate it, but right now your focus is on healing. So drop the intensity so your body can use the energy to heal yourself. I just replied to his email today because everybody I coach to send their stuff in on Monday. Our training week is Monday to Sunday. So when Sunday's done, Monday starts the new week to let me know what they did and how they stayed with the program. And then from time to time, I will check out their stats either on Strava or on Garmin Connect and just review to see their staying because that's how I know to increase their work. So right now I told him you're going to maintain your fitness by just riding zone 1, and that blood circulation from the spinning will help that area. It will circulate blood to the area, it will speed up healing. So only do what you can tolerate. But that's a serious person. Besides the fact that he signed up for coaching, he says he's serious. He has an injury, and the first thing he thinks about is, how can I continue to train? That says this is somebody who's serious about his goals. You know, so that's what I'm talking about. We're out here is 0 Celsius. That's 32 Fahrenheit. I mean, even the dogs weren't coming outside. It was cold. Except for a few farm dogs that Paul and I ran into that seemed to be bored until we got there. They were waiting for us like we made an appointment with them. It's like the dogs hear you before you get there. So, but I just wanted to say, you want to keep up with the top or you want to achieve your goals, you need to be disciplined. Look for reasons to train, not reasons to not train. Make excuses to train. Whether you're doing it indoor or not is not germane. Just make sure you're staying consistent to your program. The body thrives on consistency. I enjoy riding my bike. That's why I'm out there. And plus, I fired my doctor years ago. You know, I don't have to deal with high blood pressure pills or anything like that. So there are many reasons that get me out the door. Besides the fact that I like feeling fit, and I just love riding my bike. Period. It's just fun. It's fun riding a bicycle. It's not a whole lot of fun driving a car. Not in traffic anyway. At the track, yeah, I have fun at the track when we used to do track days with the car. That was fun. But sitting in traffic, that's not driving. That's why people hate driving. You know, going to work, it's all congested. So, but riding the bike is a lot of fun. Plus, it gets you fit, doesn't make you fat like sitting in a car. So yeah, it's as cold as it looks. There was no sunshine and it didn't warm up much. Strava averaged the ride at 1C, the entire ride. That was their average. And so I have to give those reflectorized shoes from Rafa, I give them credit.
You got to be gentle with them. Those reflectors, whatever thing they painted on there, I don't know how they got it on there. It's not very tough. So if you hit a hard thing, it can peel the coating off. But they will keep your feet dry and warm because no water is getting through that fabric, whatever it is. We turn here and we're going to turn left. So I tell Paul we're turning left. The two of us drift over right away because there are no cars coming. And so these guys see us and they can just come over. Because we're in the caboose. We get over and there's no car. Even if there was a car going to start coming, I would let them know from the back. Turning left. That's your duty as a caboose. Look out for the back of the group. The turn is unprotected here. Every time we turn, the gimbal freaked out. As we begin this turn, I notice that Paul falls back. So I look back to make sure everything's okay with him, right there. I see him clip in and come home. So I edited this piece because this thing stayed on the road for about 5 or 7 seconds. I edited it to where he started to spin it around. You can see we're past the intersection. But he had challenges with this stuff. You will see in a few kilometers down the road, he gives it to me while we're in the Paceline. I fix it, hand it back to him. Then a few kilometers after that, he gives it back to me because it's messing up. Then I tell him, just get in there because we're coming to hills. I didn't want him to fall back. He's spinning it around because the gimbal was basically making the camera go almost vertical. It's like you rotate the shot to the left. That's what it was doing. I've never seen it behave like that, but we have not ridden at freezing before. So, it makes sense. I covered my chin after we got away from the group here when we were by ourselves. I covered my chin because as we got further north, it got colder. And we went through all the food we had. You have to take more food in the cold because your body needs that. And I found that when you eat, the processing of the food warms you up. You're not going to be able to ride many hours if your bike is uncomfortable. I've said that before, but I stress that because many riders think that you can just buy a bike and go ride. Well, you can, but if you're riding around the neighborhood, it's fine. For serious riding, you need to get the bike fitted to you. A bike fit is required. It's not an upsell. If you're going to spend thousands on a bike, spend $350 for a fit. It's well worth it. Do the research on a fitter because I've paid for fits when I was racing early on. I'm letting that car know to go. It's been sitting back there patiently for a while. We want him to go. I've paid for a fit. The fit kit fit. It was a complete waste of time and money. Didn't work. It's only as good as the person doing it. So don't fall for those names. Red 2 fit kit. Doesn't mean nothing. Look at the background of the fitter. Who has he fitted? And make sure they're explaining things to you as they fit you because the fit will become yours. You need to live with it. You need to know what happens when your seat post slips. You need to make sure you mark your seat posts. We always put tape on our seat posts once we're happy because it can slip if, for instance, the bolt loosens or you're messing around. Maybe you take it out the grease once a year, you didn't tighten it enough. You need to know. There needs to be something that alerts you that your seat post has moved. And if you don't have tape on there, sometimes you don't know right away. So you need to mark your spot with the tape. Wrap that seat post where it enters the frame. So get a fit. You're hurting yourself. You're cheating yourself. You're not going to get the most out of the bike. Many riders go many decades fiddling. They think they can do it themselves, but they don't know what they're really doing. They don't know what direction they're going in. So you need someone to guide you so you can get the stuff behind you and go ahead and ride. A lot of riders out there been to 15 years or more messing with that fit because they don't really know what they're doing. And they just kind of live with it. Where I had the cameras
messing up again. I edited it. I got rid of a lot of the sky filming. So it did this for 15, 20 seconds at a time. I was not aware, because you can see I'm in front of Paul. But he's riding at 37 kilometers an hour and messing with that camera. So he comes to me, he tells me there's something wrong with the gimbal. So he gives it to me. I take it from him. We're in the Paceline doing this. You see the speed? 34. We're still riding. I power the gimbal. The gimbal went off. What happened is when the calibration is too massive for the motor or whatever's going on with the weather, the gimbal shuts off to prevent the motor from getting damaged. That's just the default they put in. So it was off. The gimbal was off. So I turned it back on. I handed it to him, thinking that would solve the problem. We did all of this in the Paceline without disturbing anybody else. Combination of skill, bike handling. You're not going to get that sitting on an indoor trainer. You got to get your butt on the road. So I let him know, do a few loops. And he's been doing it. You've been seeing it. The guys are in the Paceline. We did not disturb them while we're doing all of that. This is about 30 seconds of messing with that stuff. I just edited through here to kind of keep the flow going, but to have you not look at the road or the sky. When the gimbal goes off, it films the sky. But we messed with that for about 30 seconds in the Paceline. The other guy passing at like almost 20 miles an hour over the speed. The speed limit is 35. Then when they get pulled over, they want to give the officers attitude. You have a right to break the law, but you need to step up when you get caught. Don't give them an attitude. That's why I told Paul, I said I could never be a police officer that wouldn't keep me very long, because I would take you to jail. You want to give me an attitude? I would make the time and take you to jail for it. Because getting a speeding ticket, I think, is a convenience. You broke the law, and all they're saying is, we're going to count on you to show up in court, like your own recognizance, and then you want to have an attitude? I will take you to jail. But we'll hold you, especially on a Friday. I keep you there all weekend, because you're not going to see a judge till Monday. Every time I tell Paul that, he laughs. He says, where do you come up with this stuff? I mean, I've lived in other countries, so I have something to compare it to. A lot of Americans take a lot for granted. In other countries, they don't give you no ticket. They'll haul you in. You're going to have to pay the fine. They're not going to take your word for it that you'll show up. These guys want to have an attitude. Whenever I used to get pulled over, in my 20s here in the U.S., the officers will always say, thanks for your cooperation. I told Paul about it. They would say, thanks for your cooperation. And I always wondered why, but now I know. Because people have an attitude when these guys enforce the law we hire them to enforce. And they would say, thanks for your cooperation. I always seem puzzled because, the gimbal was messing up again. And I edited through because, it's like 15, 20 seconds of him fighting. He stabilizes it in a little while and end up giving it to me. But what I was saying is that I appreciated the fact that they're not hauling me off to jail because I'm rushing to work or whatever I'm doing and I break the law. They pull me over the side of the road and write me a ticket and say, you promised to appear, just sign here. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you could hire a lawyer to go in your stead. When I used to travel, I didn't have time to go to court. You could hire an attorney that would go and represent you and deal with it, just keep you updated. You had that option. I thought, man, that's kind of cool. So I appreciated that. So I couldn't understand why people would, you're going to break the law, you get caught, step up to it, own up to it. So anyway, let me get off of that. But I appreciate things, I guess, because I have something to balance it off against. And I think some people that just grow up here and haven't been other places, because a lot of people from the U.S. that have traveled the world, they have a different perspective and a different attitude. I've noticed that. But a lot of people here take a lot for granted that they don't understand. These guys go overseas and they fight wars so we can be free to do what we want to do. All of that. So I appreciate all those little things. We all need to appreciate what we have. So Paul got it a little stabilized. I'm pulling. I pulled for a while. I pulled longer than I had intended because what I'm trying to do is I'm pulling long enough because the group is small. And I don't want Paul to pull. So when I'm done pulling, I basically tell him to just rotate off the front. So he's not pulling because he's been dealing with his gimbal and all of that. And we got hills coming further down the road. That heart rate, you see the heart rate number 89? There is no way my heart rate is 89. It's at least 150. So all the techie stuff was not working today. This is where I motioned my hand there for Paul to roll off. I just did a circular twist. And so he immediately rolls off. And the guys understand, you're not obligated to pull, but you pull through. So Paul pulled through. Mo takes over. You see Mo's hands on the bars? He's climbing. This road is going up. It may not register, but it's going up. That's how now the gimbal's messing up again.
Go ahead.
So he gives it to me. I told him to go ahead because I want him in the line because Mo is pulling. The pace is hard. I want him up there. So he goes up. I take the gimbal and I decide I'm going to just keep the gimbal and do the best I can with the gimbal. It ends up being a distraction. You will see me fall off the pace and you will see me ride back up to the bunch. That's the reason we train as hard as we do. Right here, I'm on the side of Paul. I'm just on his left as we climb. This is a climb. And Mo's at the front. Mo pulls off the front. I've spin the gimbal around just to kind of get it to settle. It's still off to it looked worse than the shot is showing. And so when we were filming, I was concerned as to how it would look. I probably could have left it like this because it's not too bad, but I just didn't like the framing at all. So again, I spin it around once more. And every time you're doing this, it takes away from you writing. So it's hard to do. But I prefer to do this because I love how we capture our shots. And that's why we train as much as we do. So I'm messing with it. Mo is behind me. After a while, we tell Mo to come up. I end up being the last in the bunch. I can mess with this thing. It's not very windy in this spot, so I think I end up sitting up after a while. But I'm spinning it around so it can stabilize there. Stabilize for a little bit. It doesn't last long. Then I realized, man, Paul's been dealing with this foolishness all on Honey in Egypt. So I decided I'm going to keep it so he can stay with the bunch because we got 2 climbs coming up on this road. And these guys don't play. I think I would tell Mo to come up. You guys, those of you who are new, Mo is a former professional racer. Mo made a living as a bicycle racer back in the day. When you ride with Mo, he doesn't have to say anything. You see the class. He makes everything look easy. And he's just a classy individual on top of all that. So yeah, I tell him to come up, he comes through. I slip behind him. I think I would tell the other guy to mess with his camera. I tell him to go ahead. Oh, I didn't have to say anything, I just left the gap. So he just filled the gap. I'm still messing with the camera. The camera ended up looking worse than the shot is looking here. I had no way of knowing that this was somewhat decent or I wouldn't have been spinning it around as much. But I wanted to make sure we captured something. That's why you see me keep moving it back. Because it was all the way at 45 degrees. The wind's beginning to pick up. That's Brandon's brother. I never got his name. That's the guy who's visitor of Seattle. That's his brother pulling off the line there. And I think I would tell him to go ahead. Still messing with this. Now it's a whopping 1 Celsius, about 33 Fahrenheit. Tell him to go ahead so he gets in. So I'm staying relatively close. You hear the winds picking up, road's going up. Dave is gonna get behind me. And we're coming to another climb where that car is coming down from in this direction. There's a climb near a road called Leah Drive. And it gets up in a hurry. It's at least 3 to 4%. It doesn't look it, but you feel it. That's where I get gapped messing with this camera. I ended up riding back to him. right here, I'm messing with the camera. I edited it because it was just all over. It was filming the sky, the road. The gimbal went off. The power basically quit. And I just edited it to this point. And Dave will come around thinking I'm struggling. And he says, here. He's giving me a wheel. And I thought, no, I'm good. Right there. The camera's messing up.
I'm good. It's just this camera messing up.
Yeah, Dave comes around to give me a wheel, and I edited it. You can see Dave is up there. Once I get it sorted, I turn the gimbal off, turn it back on. Will look back and he sees me, and I just go ahead and put my head down and ride up to them. That's why I kept the camera. I wasn't worried about, right now you can see my heart rate says 104. There's no way that's 104. It's at least 160. Because I am riding hard here to them. Because they did not slow down. I sped up. And I ride back up to them. It's not easy to do. These guys they don't play. I said it's December, man. Our fitness has hit another level. You can see Paul didn't have any problem hanging with these guys. When we got into the mill route area, the camera was off. They were sprinting and whatever, so it was a good ride. We rode well with it. So right at this intersection, that's where you hear me talk to Paul about it. That's when I realized what challenges he's been having the whole time I'm holding to Egypt, and we end up just turning it off.
This gimbal is just messing up, man.
Yeah.
Messing with this stuff. It's a big distraction.
Yeah, I know.
We had all kinds of challenges with the gimbal. It's very cold, 36 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 3°C, thereabouts, 3 Celsius. It's cold. The group turned around. Even the fast boys did not go very far because Mo is racing the bar, so he was going back. I made 7. The rest of the guys, they turned around. So we're on the downside of our ride. We got 105 kilometers in. About 63 miles, something like that. So we're in the Tri-Lakes area. And we're hoping the camera will behave, but the gimbal had all kinds of problems this morning. And at this point, you guys can probably see from the footage, it was all cockeyed. I had to basically give up on it. Be careful over here, that bridge is old. We can film it for them and show them the bridge. It's like a wooden bridge.
Yep.
So yeah, I want them to see this bridge.
Yep.
I wanted Paul to film this wooden bridge. This is why we come out here. This is a Tri-Lakes area.
This bridge.
It's a wooden bridge here. I mean, there's not a whole lot of traffic back here. People have large properties here, agriculture properties. Some people got their homes and the farms all together. There's a lot of pasture. You see the fence on the right. Acres of pasture. So you get a car now and then. Look at that climb. That's why we come out here. This part of the place, the pavement's a little rough, but it's not that bad. But it's quiet. So we can ride side by side. We can do a good workout. We come out here for the exercise potential. It's about 50 kilometers from where we live. Thereabouts. So when we have the time, we head out here. And you don't have to kill yourself on the climb. Just ride them. There's a lot of 4 to 7% climbs in here. 7%. This one's 7%. That's what I just told him. The metrics on screen did not keep up. Yeah, the birds. So yeah, when the cars are coming, you see this guy's carrying farm equipment. You need to. That's why we moved over because the road is narrow, more of a path than a road.
How's the camera?
It's good.
So I asked him how the camera was behaving. He said it was good. So in a while, we take it off the gimbal. I put the gimbal in my back pocket, and we just hold the camera in our hand. So
don't be shy to shift. Come to a climb. Don't be shy to shift. Shift down. lose your rhythm. You don't need to kill yourself.
Yeah, this climb comes up quickly. I think it's like 6-7%.
23.
I mean a 36-23 ratio. Just riding it. You don't need to kill yourself. Ride it.
You will be strong.
If you do enough of them, you will be strong. You don't need to kill yourself. Teach yourself how to ride the climb. When it's time to go faster on them, you will. But when you're training, you don't need to try to max out. Just ride it. Get a rhythm. Get a gear you can handle. And as you get stronger, you will use larger gears comfortably. I keep my cadence above 70 when I'm seated. So I get the camera from Paul. He rolls through. If you look around, we did this area just to show you tri-legs. We come out here pretty often. A lot of the serious riders in the area come out here to train. Mo comes through here for multiple reasons. Besides the terrain is quiet. We use the highways. We get out here. You don't have to deal with traffic. You just ride. See, Paul's got a nice combination with that green and the black.
No, it's in pen.
So I gave him the camera. I moved to the front. So we ride at a conversational pace for a while. We mix it up. The stretches where we'll go harder. The stretches where we just ride. There's a section here where the hill is very long and we ride it, and I tell him, man, that was a good one. But here in this area, you're always climbing. They're false flats. One of our legends calls it ninja grade. So you must select your gear properly, otherwise it just ends up being a miserable ride for you because you think it's flat, but it's not. Your legs tell you otherwise. So the pressure's on your muscles the whole time when you're riding these false flats or you're climbing. So you don't need a very large gear. If you spend 30 kilometers climbing, you will be stronger if you do it often enough. That's why we go to Cimarron and all these places close to home, because you're climbing most of the area when you do that loop. So you don't have to think about pushing yourself. The terrain will do it for you. But if you're finding you can't ride long and you're not comfortable, sign up for a fit. We'll get you dialed in. You need a fit so you can ride. When you start to ride more, that's when the aches and pains kick in when things aren't right. You'd be amazed that we ride weekly with a lot of riders that need a fit that have not gotten it. But they're spending money on other things though. So I don't understand that. You have to pay attention to how your bike feels. I pay attention to my fit all the time. I'm not messing with it, but I make sure it continues to feel right. That's why I mark the contact points. I mark where my seat post goes into the frame. I put a tape there to make sure if it ever slips, I know. Because you're not gonna know if you don't mark it. It's not just me. All serious riders mark those spots, especially on the seat posts, because they can slip. And I make sure my saddle is straight over the top tube. That can affect your comfort if it's off. Some riders, depending on their anatomy, prefer the saddle tilted one way or the other, as far as to the right of the top tube slightly or to the left. If you're one of those, that's fine. Set it wherever it makes you comfortable. But I start everybody directly over the top tube. See the road up there, it turns to the right. That's why we come out here. This one is a slight downhill here. So when we go downhill, I just let my cadence go up and pick what the terrain gives me. So you ride at a slower cadence, you work your legs, you go downhill, you work your sprint. So you spin. So you get to do both on one ride, one session. Some people sign up and say they want to improve their cadence and whatever, and then we give them cadence drills to do. Because you need to focus. You have to teach your body how to accelerate. This area has about 15 kilometers. You could probably do loops in here and just see maybe a handful of cars. But for some reason this Saturday there was a stretch where we just got a bunch of cars passing. I don't know what was going on. Must have been a party we weren't invited to. But usually it's quiet. And the quality in the pavement varies. This is decent, then they've got some that's chopped up, and then they have some that's really baby smooth, the newer ones. So it has it all. There's a subdivision in here. There's a subdivision called Tri-Lakes. That's why the area is referred to as Tri-Lakes. Wanted to show you guys where we go to train. This is where you go. And all the serious riders, Mo comes through here a lot. And where we go, Bailey Grove, all those other roads, we use the busy roads to get there. But most of the ride, we're on these kind of roads. These are the roads we're dealing with. Once we get out of town, that's what we're dealing with. So you don't have to deal with busy shopping centers and people pulling out of driveways and all of that. You can just focus on what you need to do. That's why we plan our routes accordingly. And it's not just us. Most serious riders plan the routes. You go to a new city, check with the local bike shop, find out where people ride. They'll show you. Paul's probably messing with the camera. I'm not sure why he left such a distance, but he rides back up to me and the road starts to go up again. And all you have to do is ride. Find a gear that you can turn. That's all you do. You shift. Don't be shy. You're going to carry 11, use them. If you're not going to use them, you might as well get a fixie. Paul and I were talking, he was saying that he's riding with Mo today. When we were riding with Mo, he said Mo was doing so much shifting. It was just amazing. That's what happens. You have to shift to always keep yourself optimal. That's why you have shifters. Plus it's convenient now, sitting right up there on the ergo lever. Even when it was the down tube stuff, you shift. It's like in a car, you have to downshift in a car when you slow down with a standard transmission, or the engine will lock. This turns into another climb. So we've been climbing for a while. So we can climb for a long time in this area. And the grids don't need to be vicious. You don't need 20% grids to learn how to climb. You need to select the right ratio of gearing that will give you the zone you want to work in.
Yeah.
That's why I told him go one. I don't pay too much attention to heart rate. I pay attention to what my legs are telling me. I know when I'm going full gas versus half, 50%. The camera's messing up again, so he tells me about it. He adjusts it right there. Since these roads are narrow, when a car is coming, we move over. Every now and then you run into a jerk that wants you to like get off the road so they can pass instead of using the left lane. Then we just hold our position. We don't worry about them. But
and then it turns this off.
so what Paul is saying is that when he puts it on the handlebars, it didn't like it. So we resume. That's a good shot from the side there. I got the pink on the jersey, matching the pink, the back of those shoes, those gray shoes. The sunlight makes those shoes reflect. I really like them. And they bead water, so no water's getting through those. So we'll alternate the camera here. I'm still spinning it around. In a little while, we go ahead and film on Keenan Cutoff Road after we get out of the Tri-Lakes area.
See, I'm filming you.
So I'm holding the camera in my hand here.
Fine, because your
Took it off
hand's
the
not
gimbal.
bouncing. See, you hold it like that.
We stopped and took the camera off the gimbal, and we're just
Our
holding it in our
gimbal
hand.
is having problems with the cold weather, so we're holding the camera by hand. We'll give it a pause.
You can tell how my speech is affected by the weather. That's the gimbal in my back pocket. We took the camera off. That square part of the body, that's the CPU, the main motor, and it was cold. So the motor was not functioning very well. So Paul is holding the camera in his hand, and he's keeping his hand off the bars so it doesn't bounce around. That's why we use the gimbal, because with the gimbal, when the temperature is above 10 C, maybe 7 or 8 C is fine. We don't have to hold it up in the air. But we found a way to get it to work. We just wanted to get some shots. So he's getting it situated. So I told him what we'll do is I have another attachment that we can use and still hold in our hands. I've got different things that you can use the GoPro attachment for the camera on its cage. So when it's very cold, we will probably film without the gimbal. And hopefully it won't be too jumpy. The gimbal's moving in my pocket. You can see it flipping around. That's the motor flipping around. So I reach back and move it over. When I stand, it was just bouncing around. It wasn't gonna fall out because I should have probably put it head first in. In the summer when we're done filming, I don't put that in my pocket because my summer jerseys, the pockets are very delicate. I put it in the back of my neck against my spine, and it sits right there. It's very, very secure, very comfortable inside the jersey. Kind of where the pros carry the extra water bottle. So right here we're on Cannon Cutoff Road. I like this road because of the challenge. It's up and down. It's relatively quiet. They've got a decent shoulder, so you don't have to be competing for road space most of the time. So those are all the things that we look at when we choose a route. Not that the road has to have a shoulder. I look for roads that have low volume of traffic and challenging terrain. A lot of other riders do the same. That's why people put their bikes in their cars and drive to go out and get a workout. Find a course. You know, even the pros, they go to certain parts of the world, depending on what time of year it is, based on their experiences and what other riders have told them. So they'll have a training camp in Spain or somewhere, you know, because of the weather and the terrain. That's what a good fit looks like, guys. It's not accidental. I put a lot of work into that. From the time I used to race in the late 80s, early 90s, I tweaked myself and then I started doing my teammates. So I've been doing fit since 1995. But I wasn't doing it to pay the rent, you know, just people helping people here and there. And then it got to where I was like, okay, let's take it to the next level and really get good at this. It's easy to fit me because now I understand the concepts. So it was easy to dial myself in, but I had to learn from a lot of people. You can't find things in one place. You have to be able to decipher and reverse engineer. You know? That's what it takes to master anything. Paul's holding the camera in his hand. I'm not sure if it's on the bars or not, but it looks okay. You know, this camera does have some image stabilization in it. It's gonna be nowhere as good as the gimbal, but I think his hands are off the bar. I don't want to downshift, so I stand as the road goes up. I can feel that gimbal moving around. It's just a motor. There are 3 motors. The body is in my jersey and the other 2 are flipping around, but it's fine, it's fairly stable. That's what messes up. The motor gets cold and that main unit cannot regulate it. I'm getting some food out, and as I explained in the prologue, the gimbal's in the way, so I push it over, and what I'm doing is I'm pushing the bottom of the package. See it coming up? But I'm actually trying to get the green one in the middle there. With my gloves, you can't tell. So if I didn't push it up, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I make sure I get a good handle on it before I take it out, because I don't want to drop it on the road. Those are the granola bars. On this road, it got cold. It says 2C, it feels like 0 Celsius. And so I'm getting something to eat right there. I peel it and I take a bite. And I use this part of the road because it's flat to slightly downhill. We don't have to slow down. You should be able to do stuff like that. You need to practice that. I'm holding the stem with my left hand, the bar close to the stem. By holding the bar close to the stem, you have more stability one-handed. So I'm going ahead and having a meal. Some people had asked, do you eat on the ride? Yeah, of course I did. We rode for 7 hours plus, I think, on this one. There all day, you gotta eat. We take what we need so we don't have to stop and spend money at convenience stores because they're a ripoff. Everything's overpriced. We take what we need to drink, and if we must stop, we buy the Gatorade that's on sale. They usually do 2 for $3 in most of the places we stop, and that's what we buy. But we don't buy food at these convenience stores. We have what we need. I don't want to eat any strange food. I know what works for my body. I don't want to surprise my engine. So all this time I'm eating. I shake out the crumbs, and then I fold it. It's hard to do with those gloves. And you can see I try to put it under the jersey. I can't really feel it very well. It comes out when I pull my hand out, and so then I fold it and just stick it onto there. Get back into the business of riding. Go ahead and take a drink. You always want to drink when you eat solids. Wash it down. Those granola bars are very tasty, the Nature Green granola bars. And because they have a lot of crumbs, those are the packages I don't cut ahead of time. So I use my teeth to open the package. The Trail Mix one is a condensed bar. It's almost like it's firm. There are no crumbs. Those are the ones I cut ahead of time. So we carry a gimbal that is 1 pound weight, about a pound, when we do these films. That's what you see in my jersey pocket there. What we may do is use a selfie stick next time when it's very cold, so we don't miss the footage. It'll be a little jittery, but we had so much of a challenge in the group.
That's good.
So this is why I'm asking Paul, you still want to keep filming? And he apparently he does, so we continue.
Yeah, she did hear. Someone.
We roll into the Grand Lake Estates here. They got a lot of nice rollers in here.
That's okay, man. I said, this is okay. That's why you put the letters up and thank the veteran.
Talking about the Patreon contributors to the channel, the producers of our show. These are the people we thank for the ability to be able to do this. They make it possible. Thanks to all of you patrons of the channel, the Veloharmony channel. You see how the pink matches from my shoe, the jersey, and then my base layer is also pink. That's the neck part sneaking up there. It really blends in. You gotta plan your outfit. You wanna look right. Look like you mean business.
Yeah.
So you're taken seriously. When you do something seriously, people take you seriously.
Yeah.
I was hungry on that back road, that's what I told Paul. So I'm basically topping off my system with the gel, even though I just ate. Because the cold weather is unpredictable. Somebody had asked how much food they need to carry. No one can tell you that. You got to find out what your body needs. Nobody can tell you how much food to carry. They can only give you a guideline. At least every 30 minutes or so, you need to eat something. And in the summer, you drink every 15 minutes, but drink before you're thirsty and eat before you're hungry. That's the best guide somebody can give you, but every human being is unique. You can do the same ride with somebody else and they burn less calories than you or more calories than you. So you figure out what you need. I always err on the side of having extra and not needing it than the other way around. I'd much rather return home with something in my pocket than to run out. It's not fun. I never want to go hungry on the bike. Been there, done that once. It was not a lot of fun. They call it bonking. You literally see the grass on the side of the road that's edible when you hit that point. Everything looks good. And you basically run out of energy. This road will take us through these estates back to Honia, Egypt Road. So it's 4 hours plus in this ride, 5:15, and I still have one bottle that is still not empty with electrolytes in it. That's what I do in the winter. I don't drink a lot of water. You end up peeing a lot because you're not sweating as much. We're riding around here 29, 32 kilometers an hour for the conditions, but it's mostly zone 1. This is conversational pace. So as you get stronger, your speeds just go up in every zone, or what you put out. Your effort is more tolerable, your effort generates more power. However you want to grade it. I don't depend on speed because it's going to vary depending on what the environment is doing. But you have to have a purpose for each ride. On Saturday, we do everything from sprints, anaerobic threshold, endurance, we do it all. During the week, we break it up into pieces. So you gotta have structure if you want to improve in anything you do. Structure and focus. Hey, look how smooth this road is. It's not accidental. You don't see that many cars passing. This subdivision is very quiet. They have a couple of gates through here that you go through. So there's not a lot of true traffic. Come out here any day of the week, get a good workout. They have good climbs too. The day after this ride, the temperature was 19 Celsius, about 69, 70 degrees in the middle of the day. It actually warmed up overnight on the Saturday night after this ride. During the night, the temperatures went up. So when we woke up, it was warmer than it had been during the day, the prior day when we woke up on Sunday. I went out for a ride on on Sunday and ran into Team RR who didn't ride on Saturday. And Paul H and Michael were going long and trying to recruit people to go with them. I made it clear to them Saturday is my long day. Today is Sunday. I'm just here riding for several hours and going back home. They didn't have any takers. And Michael's the guy who I told you all about that likes to swerve into traffic. He did something even worse on Sunday. We stopped for a car that was coming on a major highway. We're all stopped. He comes from behind and goes across the highway in front of the car. It wasn't very close, but the car was moving at speed and the driver just rested his hand on the horn. And then Mark said, somebody gonna need to talk to him. Ain't nobody need to talk to him. He's gonna get hit by a car one of these days, then he'll learn. But it makes all of you look bad. And apparently he's been doing that crap. They're aware of it. Somebody, because Mark told me, somebody's gonna have to talk to him one of these days. He's not a child. You keep taking chances like that, you're gonna get hit. All of us sitting at the intersection waiting, he comes and just runs across the road.
One time.
Then waits for us. I mean, how stupid is that? So this is one of the gates I'm talking about here. So if you have people in your group that are doing things like that, you're gonna have to address it. It's not my group. He rides with Team RR. My attitude is, instead of the de facto leader saying, I'm gonna talk to him, he's talking about somebody. Who's somebody? It's your group. Let him keep doing stuff like that. Just all I know is I'd never follow him across any intersection because he's reckless. That's all I learned from that. Let him keep doing that and taking chances. When he gets hit by a car, he will learn. Hopefully it won't kill him. It's not my role to come and correct people in your group. It's no leadership. This is why we come through here. Look at this nice little climb. They just paved this section here. Not that steep. So just remember that. I only mention that so you know. When you ride in a group, don't just do what other people are doing. Keep your eyes and ears around you and pay attention. Make your own decisions. If the group is making a decision that's unsafe, do what is safe for you. You don't have to go with the collective if they're not doing something that's safe. What he did was just reckless and really dumb because the group had stopped to wait for the car. He goes across the road in front of the car. Even though there was enough room for him to go, but it was reckless. He startled the driver. He's the guy I talked about. He was riding behind Paul and I. We kept hearing people blowing. And they never blow when it's just Paul and I. Because he's swerving into traffic. So when Mark made that comment when I talk about no leadership, the only way I'm going to tell him next time, he's always trying to say, I'll go with you guys when you're going along. I'm going to let him know, if you want to ride with us, you're going to have to ride safely or you're not going to be allowed to ride with us. That's when I would tell him. Because that's him wanting to ride with Paul and I. So yeah, I'm not there to correct people in their group. I hadn't planned to ride with them on Sunday. I just happened upon them. I rode up on them. So it's like, that's not my place to be correcting your people. You're the leader of the group. Set the tone. So if he ever wants to ride with Paul and I when we deviate from the group, I will let him know. We don't do reckless things. So if you're going to do things that are reckless, you can't ride with us. I don't care. So yeah, so remember that. You don't have to do what the group does. Use your own judgment. And if the group is continuing, they're not an unsafe group. He's the only one of that group that I've noticed that is upsetting the other road users, and I mentioned it on another video. So they're gonna have to address it instead of saying somebody's gonna have to talk to him one of these days. Who's the somebody? So anyway, this is what we did on Saturday. I hope you all got a chance to get out there and get some K's in. If you didn't, get on a trainer, go for a walk, keep your body moving and keep those doctors fired. I want to thank Eric Nell, Marcus, all our newest patrons and all our existing patrons for supporting the channel. We can't do this without you. We appreciate you supporting the channel. Because of you, we're able to get this gimbal and be able to produce these smooth images that you see. So we want to thank you. The rain, there's a little bit of drizzle, but it did not rain.